So just before the video starts, I wanted to give a quick shout out to what is quite possibly the most apt sponsorship I've ever come across for Vivec. Oftentimes I'll decline, 99.9% of sponsorship deals I come across, because I just don't think Raid Shadow Legends is very appropriate for the sort of content on this channel. But I know a lot of you like to fall asleep to these report videos, and that's why I thought these COZYSNUG sleep earbuds from LYTMI really are a match made in heaven for this channel and its viewers. If you're anything like me, you might struggle falling to sleep on your back with conventional earbuds in. I'd always wondered whether there were any designs that facilitated side sleeping without waking up with a perforated eardrum. Not only do these earbuds work wonders for side sleepers, they boast high quality audio, are super lightweight and soft with various different sizes of ear wings to pick and choose from, on top of having 21 hours of charge when using the charging case. So, now you can all quickly and smoothly fall asleep listening to me recount the usual litany of mind-bending, reality-shattering experiences that we all know and love. If you're interested, please check out the link in the description, and don't forget to use the discount code Vivec for 10% off your order. Anyway, we'll crack on with the video now, but be sure to let me know what you thought of the earbuds if you do end up snatching yourself a pair, and thank you to LYTMI for reaching out, I really appreciate it. My Emptiness, a ketamine trip report by F'd Up, posted at earbud.org December 5th, 2015. I would like to start by saying that I have used, in no order, merely in the order I thought of them, amphetamines of varying strengths, weed, acid, but who can tell what's acid anyways, ketamine, opium, methadone, oxycodone, codeine, dihydrocodeine, cocaine, again in varying strengths, MXE, DXM, 25C, NBOME, the 2 Cs of C, B, E, and P, mescaline cactus, shrooms, 4-ACO-DMT, NN-DMT, 5-MeO-DMT, 5-MeO-MIPT, Ritalin, Valium, alcohol, tobacco, solvents, just the once, but they sucked. Some antidepressants, because they were there, they didn't quite do anything. And I probably missed something off, but yeah, I'm comfortable when I'm on drugs. I would also like to point out that I found it easy to get off smoking pot before, and I've never been addicted to any substance except K. This is my story of how an 8-month on and off again ketamine usage span has led me to an empty and lacking place that I hope no one else gets to, but unfortunately, people will. Now, in my area there had been much prosperity with the God Candy up until mid-2011. At this point I really wasn't too much into K. I liked K-holing, and it was by and large my favourite drug. I was doing it rarely, and while I would take a bit while I could, like a gram to myself or maybe 2 over a night, it was nothing major. I was always using it with people. It was some fun shit, and I'd K-hole on my own occasionally, but wouldn't just blitz it all to myself. I actually preferred social interaction on it. So, K comes back, and I'm itching to get back on it. I realised I missed it, but still at this point it was simply because it has no come down, sickness, fatigue, uncomfortable bodily sensations, or at least not in my experience. I always found it to be an intellectual alcohol, letting my thoughts and words flow well, while others I knew just became slurred messes. It was my personality drug. Anyway, the K gets back. Lovely crystals, tasty drip, has that fresh off the pan style of sharp pain, gaggy taste. And that sharp, pure chemical slug trail down the throat that lets me know I'm using a pure tasty drug, not some kind of sugar-coated repressed cut crap, as is the way with other chems. Especially in my local area, K was like a sacred thing that nobody cut. I'm supposed to be acquiring it, taking it to a friend, and he will give me the line I just had plus a gram. Now, I've had this K already, so I'm in a nostalgic, where have you been heaven. Of course, this only occurred to me in this intro, retrospective moment. Sorry if you feel bored, but I feel this best explains everything so that you understand the kind of person's experience that you are reading. Instead of delivering it, I just buy all of it up front with cash. Me and my fellow K-warrior, we shall call him M, are very excited to get on it. We go around our friends' houses sharing the rails and chatting crap for the next few evenings. And to be honest, all is well. Now, I mentioned the on and off nature of the K climate, and the off section came in around May. At this point I'd been using it liberally for a while, and had begun doing it alone occasionally because my tolerance was dead to rights. fucked, you might say. I wasn't worried though. It's to be expected due to my tolerance and wanting to make my cash worth it. I still wasn't at that legendary 5 grams per day stage or anything like that. Nailing a G over the night was still okay for me, to be honest. But I was growing fonder of the K-hole. The strange noises, colours, spinning vortexes of crushing green glowy light. Anyways, continuing. K then scarpered around May-ish and I was really okay with it. It'll be back, I said chirpily. I finished my studies and got signed on to uni. Good shit. Also, just to put a spoiler on it, I hadn't dropped out or blitzed all my money on K or anything. And around my birthday, K came back, literally 3 days before, totally out of nowhere. My cash had recovered from the last spot of K and it wasn't 25 to 30 pounds a G anymore, it was 20. Even better. More K, I thought to myself. Me and M smashed 6 grams between us in the space of a day on my birthday and still managed to frolic in the woods, albeit an unsmooth collapsing frolic, but a frolic nonetheless. So yeah, I've got to a point of enjoying higher doses and my using it alone index has gone to around 60% of the time. At this point it's still mainly tolerance, but a bit because I enjoy just giggling to myself and watching some nuts film like Zeitgeist, etc. For the last 2 weeks of this K period, I am taking K on my own, not leaving the house other than to go get a gram or two, sometimes twice a day. Even my dealer was getting kinda worried. He'd been a fiend himself and he knew his words would go unheeded, so he instead advised me to drink a load of water and eat a lot before coming and getting in between K-holes. It sounds basic, but I would forget this sort of shit in lieu of that sweet drip and whole combo. After this span of reclusive uses, 90% of the time I'm alone. I basically ignored everyone during this period and took K all the time. The other 10% is my dealer and his friends, who are all nice guys and stuff, but really, I'm just there to get K off them. We have laughs and it's all good, but I wouldn't be there if someone else had K at that point. It was better, sort of thing. I have a fair tolerance the third time K comes, and this is like the beginning of August for just a week. There was a gap of 2 weeks between this time. But this K, well, oh shit. A new guy had come from somewhere with K in it, but with some blank medical powder and some other shit. It didn't stand, but I was huffing it up all for the K it was worth. I don't hang around with my other dealer anymore, despite saying I would like to session with them, etc. I was just making small talk, but I haven't actually seen him since. It still got me to where I wanted to go, but it was kinda shitty stuff, not being those godly crystals of love that they once were. Well, now I have a girlfriend, and have done so since last December. She appears again later. The third time the K comes around, I'm rearing for it. I need it, and it's a constant fucking supply. I was literally shaking with laughter and glee. I gave him £160 and got 10 grams from him, 2 of which someone else had bought. I gave them their 2 and took my 8 over the course of 3 days. I was in the K space, waking up at 9 AM after 5 hours of sleeping, huffing a line, lazing around eating cereal and watching endless movies, TV series, documentaries, etc. Not leaving the house and barely speaking to anyone. About mid-August, I've been taking it daily. Not in gross amounts, just a couple grams a day. Repeated journeys to my dealers. They all think I'm some kind of K machine. I've ceased taking it with even M, one of my best friends and followers of the cat. Again, it's actually 80% alone, 20% with people due to me getting on it at my dealers a bit longer because they would feed me K just to watch me take huge lines. They seemed under the impression that I thought I was awesome or something, and one guy who came there thought that I thought I was cool, when I really didn't. I envied them that they were taking 80 milligrams a line and would lose all motor coordination. I was taking 300 milligrams a line and would have literally perfect balance, coordination, and all I've really lost is my cash. This doesn't bother me, that I was spending £40 a day somehow. I didn't miss a single day taking it, and on Fridays I would go through £80 worth that night, and Saturday morning till 12 when I would go and get another 1 to 2 Gs. Damned. I get to the end of August and I'm still hoovering up all the time. Start uni on the 7th of September. I don't use in uni, but in all my spare time, I am on it. I spend a bit of my loan, but not that much really. So anyways, I think about K, well, all the time. I love the shit. On the train home, Ket. In my lectures, Ket. I barely sleep. I can't even sleep after K anymore. I used to get lovely sleep. not anymore unless I do .7 in a line and horse myself to bed. I'd say around the 21st of September, I think I have a fucking problem emerges in my mind. But as my dissociation second personality said, you have a fucking problem. I get this mild urinary discomfort, no pain, no blood, it's gone now, etc. I stopped doing it for like 2 weeks and let my body heal. I still think about it daily, but thanks to this very website, I realised that you can piss in a bag off this shit. But after 2 weeks, I have a line, no discomfort. Whew, I'm back. I blitz once again until my stomach starts going sour. Whew. Get these weird cramps. They don't hurt, but they have me a bit hunched over now and then. I crank up my calcium and vitamin intake, the ket logic at play. I haven't taken K with anyone for this period of time till about a week into October, about then. So, round about now I quit cold turkey. Fuck this shit, it's gonna ruin me. I really don't like it. Now it gets to the modern day. I've taken it once since then, and it wasn't enjoyable. No pain, but I couldn't stop thinking about the year I'd spent ignoring my friends over a crystal. Disgusting. So, where is the emptiness? Well, basically, I don't ever go out at the weekends, which I did a lot back in the day. I cannot go in pubs without being very scared. I haven't ever so much as had a pint since being 18. I went to the pub earlier in the year, but didn't buy a pint and was on ket at the time. I feel permanent depersonalization. I have very severe HPPD-like symptoms of image burn and little random trips that happen every now and again. In fact, even thinking about this while writing makes the whirring K-hole noise of tinnitus come back that I cannot quite shake. I don't feel depressed per se, but I just lack all motivation. I haven't seen friends in ages, but I don't give a shit. I don't even want to take K particularly, I just feel empty and cold almost, kind of shallow. I don't really care that much about anything. I do my studies, but only because it distracts me and allows me to just do something. I feel very little in the way of aspiration for the subject. I don't like going out very much and am now for some reason scared of the dark. I get paranoid if someone isn't in my house. I live with my parents and they don't know about the extent of my drug use. They kind of condone the milder amount as innocent fun, and I agree. It has always provided a decent platform of free speech and proper awareness about drugs, rather than superstitious propaganda-filled crap. My mum knows I research everything well and understands what I'm doing. And anyways, I don't like it when I have to do things for other people, because I feel so little connection to even my closest friends. Even tonight I was invited to 2 separate birthday events and a gig which could have all been done over the span of 6 hours, and one of the parties is still on and only a 3-minute walk from my house. But I just cannot go out there. I don't want to see anyone and have to fake interest in having conversations. What is wrong with me? They're not my enemies, they're some of my closest friends and my girlfriend. I barely connect with who really is or was the love of my life. I know it sounds very cheesy, but we both do, or in my case arguably did, have a deep-rooted spiritual connection. But while Kay used to make me fall further into love with her while simultaneously into a hole, I began hiding it from her and saying I wasn't using. This went on from July onwards. I wasn't neglecting her, just wrongfully justifying a wrong act that my shame never ends undoing. I only told her in joking connotations that I had a problem of sorts. We were probably arguing about ket or something, and she had found out the lies a few times. But now, at this point, I actually feel a bit broken. I can't feel upset, I feel happy sometimes, but it's more just a slightly elevated mood. I don't even care when I am ill. I used to always be proactive, and now I find myself just sitting at home watching crap on the internet. I decided to write this so that someone can hopefully learn from it all. I was invincible. I mean, before K, I would be the one who was healthy on the session. I'd get the okay come downs, I could take loads of strong hallucinogens in combination and feel fine. I was one of the people who taught the most and inspired conversation and made people laugh, not to toot my own horn. I wouldn't throw up and would always be headstrong and know what to do in situations of bad trips coming on in the group, etc. Now, I really am a shell of who I once was in most aspects. I still exercise, go for walks and stuff. I live in a town where there's a nice array of nature spots 10 minutes walk up a hill. But really, I don't care about doing them. I know at this point you're thinking, yeah, I get it, the dickhead ket had fucked himself up and now he doesn't care. But I'm just trying to stress the lack of humanity I actually have left. I really hope it comes back, and it's not been that long since taking it, but I still feel kind of, well, nothing. But it may not wear off. I don't really blame the ketamine and all the drugs. I think they should be legal. It's the morons who take them who give drugs such a bad name. I could have kept to sensible usage. My other friends did. I was never pressured, no one told me to, and it was never glamorized. In fact, plenty of people at each stage tried to tell me I would become sour. I didn't listen. I made the decision. I acted on it. And so I must face the consequences of my actions, grow up, and deal with it. I wish I was depressed. I would at least feel something tangible instead of this grey area of bleak thought. I'm not saying I don't have a laugh sometimes, and I do see people on occasion other than uni colleagues. But really, I am sour. I don't understand why people would want to speak to me, so I shut myself at home, so that they don't have to listen to me talk about crap, and that they can just get on with their lives. Well, that's my depressing monologue over. I hope you didn't feel bad during reading, and I'm sorry if it did make you. I'll let myself out. Thanks for reading anyway. One of the most deeply relatable trip reports I've ever covered. If any of you don't know, I've had my own immensely deep struggles with ketamine addiction since at least late 22 in the wake of quite a traumatic breakup that actually now in retrospect, when you start to get into the recovery era of your addiction, you're coming onto the tail end of it, which I definitely have been, you start to reflect on all the ways that your addiction had governed your life and interfered with all these elements of your existence. And one of them was, I guess, my last relationship, where I really related to the part where it was like he was using K so much that he could barely connect with who really is or was the love of his life. And whilst there was this element of like a spiritual connection between me and her, and I guess him and his girlfriend through this substance, quickly and brutally it can become completely toxic and turn you into just this this walking grey bubble. I think the worst thing about Ket, besides the debilitating K cramps, the derealization and permanent dissociation from just reality and the lack of motivation, is the worst thing for me was the emotional numbness. 100%. It just seems to trap you in this grey, cloudy bubble that is completely desensitized to other people, and you just think, what's the point of going out and doing these things that you enjoy? And obviously with any sort of drug addiction, you're going to have a dopamine deficit, which is going to produce fatigue, depression. It's like, what's the point of getting out in bed in the morning? I was completely like this, and I'm still struggling with all these things now. So it's a long journey, especially when you're using K every single day. This guy used way more than I did, 100%, but I was still using it every day, and that's the thing, where it became normalized, it became habitual. And for neurodivergent people like myself, when you start to do something habitual, it can be very, very hard to break the cycle and become the newer, better version of yourself, because your ego always wants to maintain homeostasis. It doesn't want to change, because for you to change something about yourself, for you to beat an addiction, the part of yourself that was addicted to it has to die to make way for the rebirth of your new self. Even though that sounds a bit woo-woo, actually, when you're going through it, it feels exactly like how I just described it. At least it does for me. This is how I like to articulate it all. So major amount of empathy to this guy. It all starts off, you're like, oh yeah, I can smoke bud and I don't get hooked on it, I can drink alcohol and all these hallucinogens, etc. But then you discover Ket, and it completely takes over your life, even though you think at first you've got a handle on it because you've got a handle on all these other drugs. But for like any addict, unless you're a polysubstance addict and you're literally addicted to all the drugs, for an addict, there's going to be that one substance that really gets a grip of them, controls their life and derails it. And for me and many others in the UK, that's ketamine, and we're having a massive epidemic in this country with so many doctors having to deal with K bladder and people coming in with K cramps and just the mental health decline of ketamine addicts. And it just, again, the problem is that you just have absolutely no motivation. You can't turn up to work, you don't engage in your creative hobbies anymore. And when you do actually engage in some of your passions, like maybe you're big into films like I am, you start to become obsessed with watching films on Ket and doing everything on Ket, and then when you're coming off it and trying to do those things, there's this hollowness, this emptiness to it. And yeah, the resounding feeling from every ketamine addict really is the emptiness. So this was a very aptly titled report. I hope since 2015 the user effed up has actually come around and start to feel normal again, because there is always chance for recovery. And a lot of the times you look on the ketamine addiction subreddit and many other people's stories, and this goes through any for any addict and their recoveries, that you can actually repair yourself. Your mind will eventually rewire the damage to your organs, and your bladder very much does have a chance to heal itself and restructure. But the only way to do that is to get off K, start getting healthy, and consistently just sort your life out day to day. And one thing you really do have to battle as a K addict, I guess, and a lot of addicts will probably attest to this, is you'll have like a massive stint off it or something like 2 weeks, which isn't really that long in the grand scheme of things, but you have 2 weeks and then your tolerance will reset, and then the ket logic will come back in where it's like, okay, right, I can go back to using it and enjoying it, and using it sparingly, just like all my mates and how I used to before I got addicted. But it's like, no, that's not going to work. You're just going to have to bite the bullet and keep abstaining from it, because the minute you get back on it, or at least I've had this as well, where I've had like stints off it, and then I employ the ket logic of, all right, I'll just be able to use it sparingly and wisely and treat it how I used to, and yeah, it quickly spirals out of control and you get addicted again. If you're interested in my ketamine addiction journey, I will link the videos down in the description. I did a series that I'm waiting to do. It's probably the last part. The last part is recovery, or full recovery, because I've detailed, I might do another part just detailing even more stuff that I've learned about ketamine addiction and the nuances of how toxic it can be. And obviously it's spiraling out of control in the UK big time. All you need to do is type in ketamine BBC or ketamine UK and go on the news section on Google and see just how much of a debilitating grasp it has on the youth of today. It really has become the drug of choice for many people, and quickly it can get out of control and you won't even realise it till you're having K cramps and you're feeling emotionally numb and you're not in love with life anymore. It really does there's a sacrifice for dissociation. You can't keep taking this dissociating chemical every single day and expect your normal life to hold its roots in yourself. Your normal life will become the K life, and that is very scary, and I've experienced it myself. I'm still learning about myself in the tail end of my addiction. I think the big defining factor for me for eventually overcoming it, or even just like entertaining the thought of overcoming it, is watching yourself consciously do it and become more conscious and aware of how it is messing you up. Don't try and ignore it and suppress it, and also don't try and force yourself not to do it if you're still deeply in the addiction. You've got to consciously watch yourself doing it, and you've got to kill it with awareness and kill it with the love of the rest of your life, instead of just being entrenched in that very literal moment. You just have that line or all the other things you like about K. And it even got to the point where I used it and it just didn't even do anything. It literally just didn't even do anything. I completely believe that I have ultimate perma-tolerance, so I can never ever go back. But I also have to be aware of the K brain that will be like, oh no, don't worry, you can go back and we can get Ketty again. Because it always is there, the devil on the shoulder. But you got to kill it with awareness, kill it with love and understanding. And eventually I had enough awareness of what I was doing that I got to the point where I was actually sickened by it. So there was no pleasure at all. There was just like, there was like a 10% tugging factor towards being a cat addict, but there was a 90% tugging factor towards being the better version of myself, becoming who I want to be. And the only way I can become that is by letting go of this thing that has derailed my life for many years. I had this thought at the beginning of 2025. I was like, this is the do or die year, really. You cannot fall back into it. Because for me, it was like late 2022, I was starting to get addicted. I mean, I'd used ketamine since like 2015, just on and off. It was just like through trauma and lots of other factors in 2022. Also, it's a super cheap drug. Let's also entertain that as well. The cheapness of Ket really is a massive factor for many people. But the thing is about it can compound. If you're spending 20 quid a day, you're spending like $7,000 a year, aren't you? Jesus Christ. It's actually mad when you think about that. And you've got to think about that as well, just as a little tangent. If you reflect on that, how much money you spent on it and how much money you're going to save by not doing it, and all the things you can eventually do once you've got to suffer through the recovery. You're going to be bored. You're probably going to feel meaningless and hopeless and emotionally numb, but eventually you will come out on the other side, especially if you catalyze this with healthy activities, exercise, mindfulness, meditation, engaging creative hobbies, and just retraining your body, mind and spirit. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I got addicted to it in 2022 properly. 2023 was like I was blindly addicted to it. Didn't really have any problems doing it all the time. I was just obsessed. 2024 is when I started to really reflect and realize how much of a problem I had when I started having K cramps just before New Year's 2024. So K cramps is where I don't actually know the full science of it. Everyone seems to be really confused. The ketamine addiction subreddit is a great place to go and help yourself out if you're a fellow ketamine addiction. If you're a fellow ketamine addiction, there's the K brain, the brain fog. It's still there. If you're a fellow ketamine addict, if you're in it or recovering, I found the ketamine addiction subreddit really helpful. And it goes without saying that NA meetings and just talking with people is so healing, so therapeutic. And I guess hopefully watching some of my videos, what it feels like to be a ketamine addict series, which I'll link in the description. I'll make another one very soon. So in 2024, I was really conscious of what I was doing. I became fully cognizant of the fact that, oh shit, yeah, the Ket is giving me K cramps. It's messing my gastrointestinal system up. And the K cramps is basically just the way like your gallbladder becomes inflamed, and you can also get gastritis from ketamine because it crystallizes in the gallbladder. It's got an acidic content in your stomach if you're swallowing the drip, and even if you're spitting the drip out, ketamine's still in your bloodstream. It's still making its way through your body, and it has to come out through your kidneys and your bladder. And even though we know that green tea has ECGC or EGCG, this chemical that can prevent bladder damage, it really is like putting a plaster on a gaping wound. You're sort of helping out, but realistically, if the wound keeps opening up, no matter how many plasters you put on it, it's going to need serious attention. It's just a buffer. It's just a slight buffer towards eventual permanent damage. So yeah, you got to be cognizant of what you're doing to yourself, because the only way you'll be able to overcome it is if you're aware of what's going on with yourself. Because it's very easy to, and I've seen this in many fellow ketamine addicts, where it's like, no, don't worry, all these problems, me not being able to get out of bed, my emotional numbness, my pain in my back and my stomach cramps and etc., and my brain fog, it's not the Ket, it's all these other things. It's I don't eat well enough, I don't do this, or I'm just chemically depressed and always have been. And it's funny how your addictions, when you're deeply into them and when you're not ready to admit what's wrong with you, how much the ego mind can suppress the truth from itself, because the only way for it to overcome the addiction is to die to the truth. So yeah, thought this was a very relatable report, and I think I would like to talk more about my ketamine addiction journey 100%. And any fellow addicts, my heart goes out to you. Not in the Elon Musk fashion, my heart goes out to you. Oh fucking hell, what a world we live in. So yeah, check out them videos I've linked down in the description, and just keep trying to overcome your addiction with more knowledge, more understanding, more consciousness and more love. And I have faith that you will all make it through it. as I am making through it right now. But there will always be those times where the devil on your shoulder really starts to flare up, and that's the time where the most growth comes. It's where the most constructive suffering comes from. Would you rather suffer physically through your own actions, through this self-perpetuating addictive cycle? Would you rather suffer through the boredom of recovery and the boredom of literally letting your mind and spirit and body rewire itself? Because there's going to be suffering either way, but do you want the destructive suffering or the constructive suffering? And that choice is up to you.